give the warmest welcome to our award-winning Master Heart 2018 speaker, Brian Drury.
By show of hands, how many people in this room have ever had the chance to physically save another human being's life? Okay. It was May of 2010, and I was back home in northern New Jersey on my summer break from college, working my summer job as a lifeguard, living at home with my parents. And this day happened to be just one of those days where it seemed like everything was going wrong. One thing after another, piling up, the stress just building. But as I think back, these were the stresses of a 19-year-old guy, mainly about girls. So, as the stress built and I just felt the tension, I felt more and more, I just wanted it to go away. But I knew it would, because I was driving home. And I knew the second I walked in the door, it was all just going to evaporate. I was going to open up that door, and whatever Mom was cooking was just going to fill my nostrils, all the smells and the aromas. Maybe it was her world-famous beef stew that just filled every nook and cranny just right. I'd come in, I'd say, "Hey, Mom," I'd give her a hug. Dad'd be in the living room in his chair. "Hey, Bri, how was your day?" Go give him a hug. And when dinner time rolled around, we'd get up, we'd fill our plates with food, we'd go into the living room, open our TV trays, and do one of our favorite things together, which was watch a movie. And we were one of those families, which I know some of you are not going to like this, but we talk during movies. We try to figure it out. We want to know who done it. And in the really bad movies, we just make jokes that make it actually funny. So this night, we're doing that. The stress is evaporating, and I'm in one of my happy places. Right now, I want you to take yourself to one of your favorite places with some of your favorite people. Really close your eyes and let that feeling just wash over you. And as you open your eyes back up, I want you to let that sink in, because I want to share that with you, because that's where I was in this moment. And at one point, my dad went up to check on my grandfather, who was taking a shower. He'd been living with us for about 10 years at that point. He was 83 now, so he needed a little more help getting around. And every time he went to take a shower, my dad would say, "Hey, Dad, do you need some help? Do you want me to help you up the stairs? Do you want me to help you in and out of the shower, or sit with you while you're in there?" And like any dad would say, "I don't need my son. I'm good. I got it. It's fine." So about a minute after Dad got up, we're sitting there, peace, silence, and serenity. And all of that shattered in an instant because of one word followed by 3 numbers. Call 911. Before I knew it, I'd grabbed the cordless phone, and I was running up the stairs. I turned on the landing. I got into my parents' room and turned into the bathroom. And when I got in, I saw my dad had opened the door to the walk-in shower. He had pulled his father's naked, still dripping wet body into his lap and was holding him, looking at him. My grandfather's arms were draped back, his head was back, his mouth was open, and my dad was holding him, crying, just saying, "Oh, Dad. Oh, Dad." This was the first time I'd seen my dad cry in my life. And when all the emotions were rising, it was like my mind split down the middle. There were only 2 choices I had at that time, and I knew no matter which of those 2 I chose, my life was going to change forever. I knew that in that moment I had a choice between action and inaction. Have you ever been at a time in your life where it was so crystal clear that you had 2 choices, and there were only 2? For you, it might not have been a life-threatening emergency. For you, it might have been that moment when you finally said, "I'm done and I'm walking out." You said, "I'm leaving this job. I'm not staying in this unhealthy relationship." When you finally decided to say, "I love you and I'm ready for this." When you finally decided to look in the mirror for yourself and say, "Today is the day and we're doing it." For me on that day, that split looked like this. On one hand, I could crumble into my emotions everything that was welling up. There was so much. I'd never seen anything like this, the most emotionally traumatic event in my life up to this point. And what's going to happen to Grandpa? What's going to happen to Dad? And what's going to happen to me? And what's going to... And I knew that if I crumbled into the emotion in that moment, I would collapse. I would lose it, and I wouldn't come back. And I would be sitting there, waiting, hoping, and praying that someone else came to do something. On the other hand, I had action. I had my training. You see, I'd been a lifeguard for 3 years. I was a trained first responder. We literally did scenario planning for just this type of event. I knew what to do. So all I had to do was lean in on what I knew I could do in that moment to make a difference. And as I sat there, teetering on this razor-thin edge between the emotion and the action, the emotion and the action, the emotion felt like it was going to overcome. But that day, I decided to take action. So I said, Dad, we need to get him flat. Mom, here's the phone, call 911, tell them where we are, tell them what happened. We lift my grandfather's still dripping wet body, naked, out and lay him flat on the ground. I know I need to check his vitals, so I come down. I put my head by his mouth to listen and feel for breathing. I'm looking down the plane of his chest to see if his chest is rising and falling and rising and falling. And then I take my 2 fingers to his Adam's apple, move to his carotid artery to feel for a heartbeat. And as I'm doing my vital check, I'm down there. There's no breath. There's no movement in his chest. But there was the slightest little heartbeat still pumping in his carotid artery. So I knew in this moment what I needed to do wasn't CPR. You see, CPR, you give them oxygen, and then you pump the oxygenated blood through their body with compressions. But he still had a heartbeat. So he just needed the oxygen to fill it. That's called rescue breathing. So I got down, I opened his mouth, I pulled out the dentures that he'd just gotten 2 weeks before and started giving rescue breaths. And they tell you to keep a rhythm. They tell you to count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, breath. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, breath. I'm down there, my body is shaking. It feels like I can't keep going, but I know this is all I can do until someone that knows more, someone else, an EMT, a doctor gets here. I have to keep going, but my arms are shaking, my legs are shaking, but this is all I can do, and I'm gonna keep doing it the best I can until I collapse. I'm down, I'm breathing, and then finally, after what felt like 30 or 40 minutes, I was tapped on the shoulder, and the EMT is there. He says, "You're doing a great job, son. Finish up your cycle, and we'll switch out." I finish, I get up. I didn't find out till later. I was only down there 5 minutes. But after that time, they said, "You can go downstairs. We've got it from here." I came downstairs, a bit of a daze, a bit of a shock. Did I do everything I could do? When I knew the answer was yes, I saw my mom and dad standing there holding each other, crying. It was time to face the emotion. If there's one thing I've learned in life that has always consistently been true, is you cannot run from the emotion. You can put it on pause when you need to get shit done, when you need to handle the things in your life, but you always have to come back and face this. I tried to save a man's life that day. But as the head EMT came downstairs and explained that he had had a massive heart attack, he had likely died instantaneously, and that the heartbeats that I'd felt were nothing more than an echo or an aftershock. As they moved us to the living room and brought the gurney down the stairs with his body on it, with the white sheet draped over it, it felt like I failed. I hadn't saved anybody. What I'd done didn't matter. Until later that night, when my dad looked at me and he said, "Brian, if you hadn't been there, I wouldn't have known what to do. And for the rest of my life, I would have doubted that if I'd only known what to do, that my dad would still be alive today. Because you were here and you acted and you didn't hesitate, I know it was his time, and I can let him go in peace. And I paused and I said, oh my God, I did save someone's life. And I learned one of the most important lessons I've ever learned. And as I share this with you, I want you to recognize sometimes you'll save exactly who you intend to. Sometimes someone you didn't even see or didn't expect will benefit from your efforts. And sometimes the person you save will be yourself. And the lesson I learned was this: you never know whose life you might save by choosing to act. Thank you, guys. Thanks. Yes. Thank you, guys.